Hey, what up? It is Quinn, and we are back in the chess.com Blitz section. We are playing Image Art Gallery. Three words that are all somewhat related. I wonder if he does something related to art. And we're playing against a d4 opening, but he's not playing the London, and he's also not playing the Queen's Gambit or the Queen's Pawn with c4. So it's kind of a unique opening. Just got to make sure we don't blunder this um, b7 square. Let's go for an early c5 just to take a stake in the center, and so we can develop the knight to c6 uh, without being having it blocked by the pawn. Okay, so he's going to defend. He's going to attack the c5 pawn with his bishop. Interesting move. I think we can defend with the queen on c7, and this also sidesteps any issues that we might run into with b7 to b6, because that opens up the long diagonal to the rook, which would be kind of a nightmare. Now he's developed his bishop to e3, which means he can't push this pawn. So let's see if we can use that imbalance to our favor at some point. Okay, so immediately I blundered that pawn, and um, let's go for bishop to f5 and put the rook on d8, hit his queen. And let's see if we can generate some sort of active play somewhere to try to recuperate the lost material that we just suffered. Um, Thinking about maybe pushing the pawns on the queen side, trying to create a weakness. Uh, just trying to come up with a plan of some sort. The This pawn is potentially attackable. We could also take the d file. Let's go for that, and then I'm going to play my rook to b8 and maybe push this pawn to b6. Um, Definitely have to generate some pressure against our opponent. And he's going to play his knight to h4. Does that just blunder this pawn then? I think we can just take it now. Oh, I see what he's going to do. He's going to let me take, and then he's going to take on b7. But does that work for him? Because now the knight's coming in as well, and we're putting him under some serious pressure. Let's go for it. So if he takes, we pretty much have to take. Maybe I could have played knight to a5 first before playing that move. Not super sure. I would have to look at that further. Okay, so he's going to play his knight to a3. So he's not going to go for the queen takes here variation. So we can get a move in to defend that with the rook to b7, or just play b6. I think b6 maybe is even better, but I want to eliminate this bishop first before I do that. Okay, let's eliminate the bishop first, and then I want to potentially get the queens off the board as well. He does have the queen side majority, whereas I have the king side majority. But I think this move is going to be a good move here. Get the queens traded, and then we're going to double up rooks on the d file. Yeah, so he has queenside majority. It's a little bit better because it's um, more remote. It's more on the edge of the board. So he's going to have an easier time of generating play with his pawns. And he's already looking to advance the pawns on the queen side. So I think he's playing intelligently here. Whereas we would prefer him to play unintelligently, of course. Okay, so he's putting his knight on b5. That move doesn't actually do anything. So I think we can hop our knight in and just threaten to take here. That's all I'm trying to do. And he's got to defend that square. And now we can get get a bishop traded off the board to try to secure an advantage in the endgame. So he does take. And now we have a double attack. So potentially we can win some material here. He's putting his knight to c7. That move can be easily parried with rook to c8, so we don't have to worry about that. And now we can take this pawn, but which way we decide to take is important. Let's actually take here first. He doesn't have any threats. He can't take here because knight is guarding it. And now he moves his pawn out of the way. Okay, now let's poke the knight with our pawn. So he's going to have to withdraw to maybe that square. Then we can just put our rook back on d2. Then maybe look to double up the rooks on the d file. We are now up a pawn. So we went from down a pawn to up a pawn, a 2-pawn swing. And we also got a knight for a bishop. So we have some endgame equity here. And getting the rooks traded off the board here, I think, would be favorable for us. Just got to watch the clock. I like that I'm strategizing right now and coming up with ideas, but it's also good to not blunder in time pressure, of course. He was trying to maybe trap my rook, but I don't know if he saw that rook takes a2 as a thing. Obviously, he can't challenge that square because of my bishop. So my bishop is doing work right now, and I would argue that this bishop is the best minor piece on the board at the moment. He's going to push his pawn. I can hop my knight in here or even here and trade off a pair of knights. Let's go for that. He still can't go here and attack this a7 pawn, so I'm feeling quite safe on that side of the board. I'm just trying to trade down to an even simpler endgame because that's what we like. Let's take with the bishop just to create a little threat here of exploiting this pin. So he does see it. I'm going to pull my bishop back to g7. Obviously, want to avoid any trades, avoid any tactics. If I were him, I would move my rook here, but he's deciding not to do that, which I think is interesting. He's instead opting to push his pawn. I think he's trying to maybe create a pass pawn, which we do have to watch out for. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea for him. Let's think about how we can prevent that from happening. Let's get the king into the game, actually. Just activate the king. I think if we get the king closer to over there, it'll work out for us. Okay, so he pushes. Now, do we want to take or push here? Let's try neither. Let's try just challenging this pawn with the rook. Had to think about that for a second. So he decides to take that way, which I find dubious because now I can just take the pawn with my rook. His knight is nowhere near close to coming into the game right now. He's going to challenge my other pawn with his pawn. But I can just take here and everything's fine. If he takes that way, I just take this way. Yep. He can get a rook down on the board, but it's not really going to do that much for him. Thinking about maybe creating an attack on the f2 pawn right now. Okay, that's a good move. Let's put the rook there and think about doubling. It's hopping around with the knight, trying to create some play, which I think he has to. Now let's go in with the rook heavily here. And then we're going to create some serious threats on that f2 pawn while attacking his knight. And I think he's losing material here. So he was trying to play fast, but it didn't work out for him. If I get checked, I can always go to f6 with the king. I don't actually have a pass pawn, despite being up 2 pawns now, soon to be 3. I still don't have a pass pawn yet, but I will very shortly. I'm just going to take here with a check. And then I'm going to take here, and then now I'm threatening a mate. So he's actually going to get mated. Okay, he resigns. Let's take a look at the game review there. And we'll also hop over to Lichess for an analysis. We played at an 80.5 at a 1750 rating. So a second game in a row where we played pretty well. Yesterday we played at a 1650 rating. Let's get the FEN, or the PGN rather. And we'll just see if we had any missed opportunities or defensive moves perhaps where we could have played better. Let the server analysis run. And we'll switch over to Lichess analysis mode. Hope you guys are fine with not seeing the lines and just hearing me read it out to you. I think that's okay. It's kind of distracting seeing all the lines like smattered across the board. Some people do it, other people don't. Okay, so here I had an opportunity to maybe capitalize on a mistake made by the opponent. And it says that knight g4 is a good move. Knight g4 hitting the bishop. And then bishop goes back to c3, a6, knight goes back to a3 to defend the c4 pawn. And then this knight hops into b4, and then f3, knight e5, bishop e3, knight e to c6. So a lot of maneuvering and trying to hit this weakness on b2. So because knight g4 opens up the bishop to this b2 square, he has to play very passively. And then this a6 move further drives the knight back to a3. And then just trying to gang up on that square while keeping his bishop stuck defending if we can. So that's an interesting idea to play around with. But instead here I played knight to e4. So I did open the diagonal, but I did it without the double attack. And that allows him to play a move like rook a to d1 to equalize. Get closer to equalization. It's still me having the advantage here. And other than that, it doesn't look like made too many mistakes. The conversion here is very clean. Here, the computer likes rook to d3. Here, it's negative 3.6 for me. And I played somewhere around the 5th or the 6th best move. So here, rook d3, knight g4, h5, knight g to h2. So rook d3, what that move does is it threatens to take on e3 because of the pin. So the knight's got to move, and then you can just kind of chase the knight around a little bit. And then b6 to solidify things. Whoops. b6 to solidify things after that. Just try to prevent the pawn push. What I find to be interesting is that this pawn push that my opponent cooked up never became a threat. So we'll look at the game continuation here. He found an interesting way to get some counterplay. But it never really materialized into anything because I was able to stop it. I mean, here, if he, I don't know what else he could have done because I didn't take the pawn here. So he was kind of forced to take here. Yeah. He could have also just played a waiting move like knight e3 or something like that, but I could have just played rook c5 with the idea of eventually taking here and then trying to win the pawn and basically trading off all of the queenside pawns, which is good because it allows me to focus on where I have a majority, which is on the king side, getting rid of any counterplay on his part. So that's pretty much the whole game. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I was trying to be very present, and I was also trying to use some variation in my vocal tonality, vocal cadence to keep you guys engaged. I do watch other YouTubers' videos on how to create long form content like this. Not everyone creates videos that are like 20 minutes long where they're talking continuously the whole time without any cuts. It's a challenging format to engage in. I'm working on being better every day and trying to be better both in terms of the chess and the presentation of the video itself. So I hope you guys have enjoyed all of that. And God, and have some fun this weekend. I'm actually going out to take some photos this weekend at an Instagram spot that's really nice in the city of Dallas. It's like this faux European village. It's got like a church building and a bunch of like apartment buildings and restaurants that are designed in this old European style. Looks like you're in Croatia or something like that. It's got a nice lake on the periphery. So I'm going to go there with my tripod and take some photos. Haven't really met any friends in Dallas yet because I've just been waiting for school to start. So I haven't done much in the way of socialization. But once school starts, hopefully I can meet some people. And then when I'm going out, I can get a friend to tag along. We can both take some photos for social media. But yeah, hope you guys have a good weekend. And also, NFL playoffs, go Bills. Too bad the Dallas team isn't in it, so I can't root for like an AFC and an NFC team. But if you have someone in the playoffs this weekend, best of luck to your team, unless they're the Broncos or the Patriots, in which case I desperately want them to lose. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.